My name's Courtney Carroll, and I am a survivor of the worst mass shooting in modern American history. We planned to go out to this country music festival. Gosh, it was probably like June of last year. And my aunt and uncle had already had tickets, and they had heard this was like the best country music festival, and it's in Las Vegas, and we love Las Vegas. It was my uncle's 50th birthday that summer in August, and my 40th birthday was in November, and we said, look, it's perfect, it's in the middle, let's go celebrate. Maybe 9:55 is about when Jason Aldean came out, and he played his first few songs. During his, I want to say fourth or fifth song, the song was Any Old Bar Stool, and at the very end of the song, you heard, and not everybody heard it, I heard it, a couple pops. But for some reason, I said out loud, I looked at my aunt, I said, that sounded like gunshots. A couple girls next to us said, oh no, those are the confetti poppers shooting in the air. And that made sense, I'd seen confetti. I was like, okay, whatever. And within, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds of him starting into the next song, that's when like the machine gun sounding rapid fire started. We immediately dropped to the ground. He was still playing when we were laying on the ground. And even in my mind, I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, we were gonna look so stupid, but the sound never stopped. Like, it just continued and continued. And then he stopped playing. And I think that's kind of at that moment when we all realized, like, this is for real. I remember crying, I remember praying, I remember just like begging God to take me home to my kids. I remember saying, where are the cops? Like, why isn't anyone stopping? Because it went on, I mean, it seemed like it went on forever. In my mind, it felt like we were the only ones left in there. Seeing videos now, I know we weren't. But at that point, I said we have to run. And I started to run, and my aunt followed me. And we kind of snaked our way through this like bar, down this ramp, and towards this like mass group of people trying to get out the exit. The gunfire started, we crawled through a hole in a fence, and at that point we saw a building to the left with the door open, and we saw light coming out and people going in, and that's where we went in, and we hid in this corner, pulled the couch in front of us. There was a young kid next to us that had gotten shot in the arm. So he was bleeding, my aunt was bleeding. We ended up spending the next like 4 or 5 hours in that building. And my aunt and I ended up hiding in the bathroom with like 6 other people. And then the next, days are a blur. And I mean, but for like 2 weeks, I was afraid to leave my house. I was scared to let my kids leave the house. It was like a constant, I didn't feel safe anymore. I felt like I can't go anywhere, no one's safe. If this happened to me, it could happen to anyone. There's not one point up until the shooting that any kind of safety thing crossed my mind. I mean, and this is pretty typical at concerts. I mean, country people are pretty friendly and outgoing, and I would never have a problem in 22,000 people walking back and going to the bathroom by myself, or going to get food, or whatever. And that was just, I mean, it was natural. That was just, we were comfortable. It's so easy to be desensitized by what happens around us. You hear about the shootings in the schools. You hear about attacks when people are jogging. I mean, you have all different types of these scenarios that you hear on TV. That's stuff that happens to other people. It doesn't happen to me. And I'm here to tell you, it can happen to you. After getting through like the initial shock of Vegas, it was something that I realized that I had a passion for, was trying to figure out ways to make sure that if this ever happened, that I would be prepared. I was browsing through Facebook one day, and I saw a event notification for Trident Shield's active assailant training at ACAC, and I thought, well, that sounds interesting. So I signed up, and I invited a friend to come with me, and I was nervous, but everybody at Trident Shield had made me feel very comfortable, and took the time afterwards to also check in and to make sure that I was okay. So even though I had been through this horrific trauma and I was worried that, it might be too much for me, it wasn't. It was very real life, but it didn't make me more afraid. It empowered me, because it was, some of the things were so simple and you're kind of like, oh, well, this is not hard. I can do that. I'm a small female, like I can't take out some shooter. Well, there are ways for me to work with other people to handle the situation correctly. And that's what I felt like it gave me. It gave me the empowerment to know that even though I'm not some big burly cop, that I can have an impact and maybe help some other people and myself. If I can do it, then anyone can do it. Because this was maybe like 7-8 months after I just went through a mass shooting and ran for my life. I know what it's like to have anxiety. I know what it's like to live every day in fear. And I feel like the way the training is done, at no point did I ever feel scared. And I felt like it was very much made for the everyday person. So a teacher or a stay-at-home mom, I felt like anyone could do it and not be scared by it. It's much more scary to live through the situation and not know what to do. Before Trident Shield training, I was coming up 7 months off of a mass shooting where I ran for my life. I was scared. I didn't go out at night. I rarely left my house without feeling like something bad was going to happen. After Trident Shield training, I left there and I had parked in the parking garage that day, and I'll never forget that because I walked to that parking garage and I felt safe. I felt aware of my surroundings. I thought of the different things that I had learned throughout the training, and I felt empowered. I was excited, and even now, those things run through my mind, and I think it's because Trident Shield does such a good job at making them realistic that the things that I learned that day were engaging, and I won't forget them. After that night, I didn't think I would ever go to a concert ever again. Like, I thought that was it. Recently, I have attended the Jason Aldean concert, kind of finishing what we started that night. I'm actually headed to Las Vegas for the 1-year anniversary. It's an emotional thing. I'm going to kind of reunite with a lot of the people that I've met along the way or met that night. I want to go walk my path because in my mind, everything's very vivid and I remember every second. But I want to walk it and piece it together. And I want to stand with other survivors and honor the people that we lost that night.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more safety tips, interviews, and commentary on breaking news. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment below. And you can always find more information about us at tridentshield.net.